Two cameras separated by 4 years and $1,000. The Sony A6400 recently released and in my opinion is one of the best, if not the best options out there for people wanting to create online content. It's got great 4K image, has an unlimited recording time, and it's very reasonably priced. It's a pretty enticing package. The A7S II, however, is still a widely popular full-frame mirrorless camera that has no equal when it comes to low-light video recording. Today, we're gonna answer the big question. Is the Sony A7S II, the main camera today, worth 3 times more than the A6400, the B cam for today? Let's find out. What's up everyone, I'm the Everyday Dad, and if I can figure it out, you can figure it out. So I straight up love the A6400. It's one of my all-time favorite cameras and is absolutely the best camera released so far in 2019. I mean, I know that's probably not a popular opinion, but as somebody that doesn't just talk about cameras all day, but actually uses them on a constant daily basis to create all of this online content, I mean, it checks just about every single darn box you could want, and some that you don't even realize you want, but it just works. The A7S II though still does a great job despite having way older technology in both autofocus, color science, and user interface. So let's figuratively smash these two together and see what comparisons fall out. And spoilers, like I already mentioned, we've been recording with these two cameras the whole time. The A7S II has the Tamron 20-75 on it, and the B cam has the 16-50 kit lens that the A6400 comes with. There are 3 main things that I look for in a camera if I'm going to use it for creating online content, or if I'm going to recommend it for you to create your own online content, from commentary to tech, to cats, to each their own. And one of these crushes each of those while the other does kind of struggle a bit. I mean, that tension is probably not fooling anybody if you've seen any of my videos. First up, video quality. Now, both of these cameras can record in up to 4K 30 frames per second and 1080p at up to 120 frames per second for slow motion. The A6400 has a 24 megapixel APS-C size sensor, while the A7S II has a 12 megapixel full frame CMOS sensor. Now, if you are new to cameras, don't just think that more megapixels equals better, because in the video world, sometimes the opposite is the truth. Like in video, sometimes you want less megapixels. Now, one of the bigger generational differences between the two is the A7S II has a 169-point contrast-based autofocus system, and while those kind of systems generally don't do too well, I mean, think of the Panasonic line of cameras, and I love those cameras. Here, it's surprised me over the last few weeks in how well it actually does hold focus. Like, this video is not in manual focus. We are currently using the autofocus on the A7S II. The A6400, on the other hand, has Sony's cutting-edge phase detection autofocus with both face and eye detection that just, I mean, it locks on and it does not let go. Seriously, as nice as Canon's dual pixel autofocus can be, and my main camera right now is an EOS R, I find that if you really want rock solid autofocus, the Sony, the A6400 has it on lock. Like, it is the best I've ever used, period. Both cameras also have access to Sony's S-Log2 and 3-picture profiles, with the A6400 additionally having HLG2 or hybrid log gamma for quicker grading and turnarounds. Though both are rocking, and the one we're using right now, my favorite, that's picture profile 1. The A7S II has a huge advantage though in the low light capability department. I mean, the darn thing practically sees in the dark. Now, I don't normally push cameras past 800 ISO. I light all of my stuff, so I don't need to do that. But the S2 can easily make it to 5000 ISO without any noise issues or problems. I mean, it's crazy. Honestly, the 2 biggest differences you'll find here are color science and ISO sensitivity. The A6400 again has Sony's newest version of their consumer color science that I actually like quite a lot. If you can nail the white balance, it's gonna look pretty darn good. The A7S II has the older colors, but despite what the internet says, you just turn the hue down a little bit to take the green edge out. It takes like 5 seconds worth of work, which is what we did for this particular video. And I think it looks perfectly fine too. But that's the thing about this series of videos, right? Yes, both look absolutely decent, but I don't know that the A7S II looks 3 times as good. Like, that 3 times, I mean, that's a significant amount of money. But image quality aside, what's most important for video of any type, I mean, I really only care about online video, but that's audio quality. And these two are pretty lockstep for audio recording capabilities. They both have microphone imports and manual audio controls, letting you dial the internal gain of the camera all the way down, allowing the microphone to do the heavy lifting. Hint, this is what you want. Like, you want to be able to turn the internal preamps of a camera down as far as possible, let the microphone or the audio recorder do all of the work. But let's put all of this jabbering to the actual test and hop outside for a quick video / vlogging test. And welcome to the vlogging test of the Sony A6400 and the Sony A7SII. Now this is actually, as I set this up, I realized this is going to be a really cool kind of test because the A7SII actually has in-body image stabilization, but the lens I have, the 28-75 Tamron, does not have stabilization. Whereas the A6400 does not have any kind of in-body image stabilization, but the 16-50 lens has stabilization built into it. So this way we're going to test out IBIS versus OSS. So which one do you actually like? Which do you think looks a little bit stabler? Ooh, we just got hit with that. But yeah, there are two big things that differentiate these cameras between each other. And the first one, as you can see, it's the flip screen. Like on the A6400, I can actually see what I'm doing. I can see what's going on, and that it, you know, is properly exposed, and it just works. Like, that's a very big benefit if you're going to use a camera to film yourself. I think maybe we'll stop calling these vlogging tests because it's more about filming yourself. And the other one that the A6400 also has is the best autofocus that Sony has ever come up with. So you never really have to worry about being in focus if you've got that face tracking on, because it's fantastic. It's so good. But I think the A7SII, though, as I've been using it the last few weeks, it's actually been impressed me with both its colors that generally get maligned pretty badly and the autofocus. It actually is probably the best contrast-based autofocus system I've ever used. So yeah, this has been the vlogging test. I can tell you which one that I'm already sick of carrying. Probably this big guy. Okay, back to the video. And we're back. Now, I like carrying around the lighter cameras. I mean, as I get older, my shoulders just don't enjoy the big cameras as much anymore. Like, whew. So the image quality on all modern cameras is great. Technical image quality alone should not be something that you obsess over, because you can get that just about anywhere, including cell phones. Like, technical image quality, it bores me. It's no longer relevant that much. So what matters most to me and what drives my purchasing decisions and recommendations is ease of use. Now, how easy can you replicate that good enough image to keep those uploads a-rolling? Because that's what you gotta do. If you've never made YouTube videos, guess what? You're gonna be making a lot of them. Now, these two really approach ease of use in different ways. The A7SII has more physical buttons, and it's got 3 scroll wheels, allowing for quicker exposure changes on the fly. But again, it has a worse autofocus system and the older menu interface that isn't laid out as intuitively as the new kid on the block. The A6400 does have less physical buttons, but you never need to really worry about your subject being in focus. And you can even tap on the screen to start focus tracking from the limited touchscreen capabilities on the back of the camera. Now, I will say that the tap to focus on the A6400 is the best I've ever used. It's better than Panasonic, it's better than Canon, it is the best. Not only that, but the biggest thing the A6400 has going for it is its flippable screen. This lets you monitor your video without needing an additional screen. Like right now, I'm using the A7SII plugged into a big screen next to me to make sure that everything is good. But the A6400 is just using itself, which is so much more convenient. And convenience gets my dollars all of the time. If you are convenient, that's a big selling point for me. Something that sounds like it should be similar, but is pretty darn different in use, is both of these cameras do use the same type of battery. They both use the Sony NP50. I mean, it's a tiny little source of energy. Now, where this ends up being different is the A6400 is much smaller and it has a smaller power requirement. But even then, it drains the battery at an almost visible rate. But the A7SII drains even faster, like 45 minutes of recording per battery, which means you need to bring a whole boatload of batteries if you're gonna record with this darn thing. Like, that's a legitimate issue. So let's say you've decided to purchase one of these in their own time, game-changing cameras. So what does the ecosystem / upgrade path look like? That's another thing besides ease of use that's really gonna drive a purchasing decision for me. And this part of the video is really easy because they both use Sony's E-mount system, meaning whatever lens you buy for one could be used for the other. And if you buy a new Sony camera, it will also use the same lens. Smart, right? I mean, Sony has not been creating new mounts for their mirrorless systems recently. They did a few years ago, whereas everybody else is now playing catch up. Now, I do wish there were more dedicated Sony APS-C lenses their current offering is pretty anemic, and while you can use full frame lenses on the APS-C bodies, I mean, it kind of takes away from the small, light package when you attach like a huge lens to it. Give me more APS-C lenses, Sony. But at the end of the day, is the A7S II worth 3 times the price of the A6400? Well, to be frank, I don't think the A7 III was worth twice the price, so I definitely don't think the S2 is worth 3 times unless you specifically need that crazy low light capability. I mean, look, straight up, the A6400 is a darn near perfect camera for making YouTube videos. It's reasonably priced, it's inconspicuous, it's easy to use, it has a great image, and I mean, it is absolutely one of my favorite cameras of the year for a reason, and I recommend it to a lot of people for that reason. It is the best value for the price you're gonna find. Thanks for watching.